The skyscraper lobby gleamed like a palace, all polished marble and cold perfection. But Maria felt small inside it, like she always did. Her hands were cracked from years of cleaning chemicals, her back aching from the long night shift. She pushed her cart slowly across the floor, humming softly to herself to keep awake. It was almost sunrise, her favorite part of the day when the world went quiet, and she could pretend she wasn't invisible. The elevator doors burst open with a metallic chime, and a man stormed out, his footsteps sharp and angry. Maria flinched at the sound, before she even fully saw him. He looked exhausted, as if he had fought a war in the conference room upstairs. His tie hung crooked, his shirt wrinkled, his eyes red with a mix of rage and fear. He didn't see her. People like him never did. He fumbled with a leather briefcase overflowing with documents, trying to shove papers back inside while yelling into his phone. "No. Listen to me, I didn't authorize anything. How could this happen?" His voice cracked, not the cry of a spoiled rich man. The sound of someone who was drowning. Maria paused, her mopping. Something inside her tugged a strange worry for a stranger she shouldn't care about. When he turned abruptly, the briefcase dropped, exploding open like a burst of feathers. Papers scattered across the floor, sliding over the marble in every direction. He didn't stop. He didn't even look down. He just kept walking, shoulders heavy with a kind of sadness she recognized all too well. The sadness of someone who'd lost control of their life. Maria bent down and began gathering the papers, intending only to tidy up. But then her gaze froze on one particular document, bold red letters, stamped across the top. Emergency transfer. $500 million. $500 million. Her breath caught. She didn't understand numbers, like that numbers bigger than anything she could imagine. But the words emergency and transfer together, that felt wrong. Very wrong. Another paper showed signatures. Someone else's signature, forged neatly beside his. Charts, bank accounts, offshore names. She couldn't pronounce pieces of a puzzle she didn't understand. But her heart did. She felt it deep. A quiet whisper. "Maria, this isn't just lost paperwork. Someone's trying to take something huge from this man." Her fingers trembled as she held the folder closer. She looked toward the doors where he had disappeared and felt a strange mix of fear and responsibility. She was nobody, just a cleaning lady. People like her were expected to stay silent, stay small. But she had lived her whole life on the edge of Loche. She knew the hurt of having something precious slip through your fingers. She couldn't let that happen to anyone else, even a millionaire. As she whispered into the empty lobby, "This is wrong." The words tasted like courage she didn't know she had. Maria stood in the middle of the lobby, clutching the documents, her heart pounding so hard she could feel it in her fingertips. She kept telling herself to leave it alone, to hand the folder to the security desk and walk away. That was the safe thing, the sensible thing. But the thought of this man losing everything because she stayed silent, because she acted like she didn't matter, made her chest tighten. She had been ignored her whole life. She refused to ignore someone else now. She hurried toward the exit, the wheels of her cleaning cart squeaking behind her like tiny cries warning her not to do this. She pushed the door open and stepped into the freezing morning air. The city was still half asleep, streetlights glowing like lonely stars. Her breath formed clouds as she searched for him, scanning the quiet street. Then she saw a faint light in the underground parking entrance. She hesitated only a second before following it, gripping the folder to her chest as though it were a lifeline. The garage was cold, dim, and echoing with emptiness. Her steps sounded too loud, like they didn't belong there, but she kept walking, guided by instinct and a deep, uneasy pull in her gut. At the far end, a sleek black car sat with its headlights off. The millionaire was inside, leaning forward with his elbows on the steering wheel, completely still. His shoulders rose and fell in slow, defeated breaths. Maria approached shakily, her hands sweating despite the cold. She tapped on the window, one gentle knock that felt like the boldest thing she'd ever done. He lifted his head abruptly. For a moment, confusion flashed across his face. Then annoyance, clearly ready to tell off anyone who dared to bother him right then. But when Maria lifted the folder into view, everything about him changed. His irritation melted into shock, then into something closer to fear. He lowered the window just enough for his voice to slip through, rough and tired. "Where did you get that?" You dropped it," Maria said softly. "I thought you might need it." He stared at the documents as if they were a ghost returning from the dead. His hand reached out slowly, almost trembling as he took the folder from her. He flipped through the pages frantically, his breath quickening with every sheet. The color drained from his face. His lips parted, but no words came out, not at first. Maria stood there, not sure if she should leave or stay. She watched his expression shift from panic to disbelief, then to something that made her throat tighten raw. fragile relief. Finally, he whispered, "You don't understand what this means. What you just did." His voice cracked. Not with anger this time, but with gratitude that seemed to overwhelm him. Maria shook her head. "I don't know much about big business or money," she admitted, "but I know when something looks wrong, and this did." He closed the folder slowly, holding it to his chest, like it was the only solid thing in his world. He looked at her looked at her as if seeing her for the first time. The tension in his face softened, replaced by a glimmer of respect that Maria wasn't used to receiving from anyone, especially not someone like him. "You saved something I can never replace," he said quietly. She swallowed, unsure how to respond. She had only meant to do the right thing. She never expected to be standing here, being thanked by a man who lived in a world she could barely imagine. For the first time, she realized, doing the right thing could shake someone's world, even if you felt small doing it. Asterisk. The wind rushed through the parking garage entrance, carrying a sharp December chill that cut straight to the bone. Maria wrapped her arms around herself, shivering slightly, but the millionaire didn't seem to notice the cold. He stepped out of the car slowly, as if he was walking back into his own life after almost losing it. The folder remained clutched in his hand, pressed tightly against his chest, like a heartbeat he was afraid to lose again. He stood in front of her, the harsh fluorescent lights revealing just how drained he truly was. His eyes were glassy, his face pale, his jaw trembling in a way no amount of money could hide. "I was about to sign it," he admitted, voice thick with disbelief. "I almost transferred everything, $500 million. My entire empire, and I didn't even realize they tricked me." Maria let out a small gasp, her mind unable to wrap fully around that number. She had counted every penny her entire life, budgeting down 2 cents. The thought of $500 million slipping through someone's fingers was unimaginable. She lowered her gaze shyly. "I'm glad I found it before someone else did." He let out a breath that sounded like a man exhaling years of fear. "Someone I trusted forged my signature," he said, staring past her as if seeing the betrayal all over again. "If that folder was gone, I would have been ruined. Not just my money, my name, my reputation, my people's jobs, everything." Maria blinked, stunned. She had only thought about him, the lonely, broken man she saw spilling papers across the lobby. She hadn't considered the far-reaching impact. "I didn't know it was that serious," she whispered. He nodded slowly. "It was worse than serious." Then he looked at her with a softness she didn't expect. "And you saved me from it." His voice cracked on the last words, the weight of what hadn't happened pressing harder than the weight of what did. Maria shifted nervously, unsure how to stand under such intense gratitude. She wasn't used to being important. Her life was full of moments where she went unseen, unheard, unnoticed. But now, this powerful man was looking at her like she mattered, like she was the only person who had seen the danger everyone else missed. "You didn't just save my money," he said, his tone shaking with sincerity. "You saved my life. Because losing all this, it would have destroyed me. Completely. You have no idea how close I was." Maria felt a tightness rise in her throat. She wanted to say something comforting, something wise, but all she could manage was, "I'm happy I was there." Her voice cracked a little, "That's all." He studied her with an expression she couldn't read, part gratitude, part admiration, part something deeper, something that surprised even him. She could see it in his eyes. He wasn't seeing a cleaning lady anymore. He was seeing a woman with courage, a woman who didn't look away when it mattered. A silence settled between them, filled with emotion neither of them could name. The cold air, the dim lights, the quiet hum of the building, they all faded as the moment wrapped around them like a fragile, unexpected connection. For the first time that night, the millionaire's shoulders relaxed. The fear left his eyes, and Maria, standing there with her simple clothes and tired hands, realized something she had never dared to believe. She had changed the course of someone's entire life, just by choosing to care.